Hey, what's going on, everyone? It's your boy Freeze, and there with the weekly live stream. And today, obviously, you probably saw the thumbnail. We're going to talk a little bit about. Oh, I forgot that this is blue. His shirt here, but today we're going to talk a little bit about the new endurance bots. So we got Armada Wheeljack coming on the Decepticon side, Armada Scavenger coming on the Autobot side, and yeah, the events tomorrow. We'll take a look at that and talk a little bit about the Warriors in general. Try to make some comparisons and take a look at talk about Titans a little bit. So all in all, should be pretty fun. Before that, let's go to this week's newsletter where we got this week's event called Awakenings. All right, so it's week 8 of this saga, and yeah, Mayhem weekend, Mayhem endurance weekend. So that's the event we got this time. And so some of the prizes you get, obviously at 1.5 mil, your alliance can get the 4-star Armada Scavenger, Armada Wheeljack, and then the 5-star at 3.5 mil as always. And so kind of snuck this in there on us. I think it was day before yesterday, but you can get a major rank item at 4 mil. Now, I will say, I am happy that this is being added. I do wish that that information came out a tad bit earlier because, um, people started bidding on this stuff a little while ago, and they bid for 3.5. I think most of the upper alliances will probably make the push. I believe it's like an additional 12.5k per person. Um, but yeah, looking at the ape stream earlier today, it looks like that might be something they try to pursue going forward. So looking forward to that. It's always good when a major piece of content like that is available in different ways. And so one of the ways, the easiest ways, is to put it in the event. Um, and it kind of lines up with what I was thinking when I started putting together the endurance. I think we can make endurance a little bit larger. I mean, I'd be on board for you guys that saw my last stream, not last week, but the week before. It would line up great with us eventually being able to go get the general rank as well. So, looking forward to that. I don't have any majors right now, so I'm definitely want to use this item and use it wisely. It might even be something worth talking about. I might need to go look through my warbots and see who that rank item should go to. Alright, so fight over 105 tiers. So you got 5k to 3-star shards, 2.5k to 4-star shards, 1k 5-star shards, 75k premium shards, 250k spark, 250k combiner spark, 10 gold, 5G metal, and power cores, and then 1G metal, G1G metal power core, 1 bot G metal power core, 1 building G metal power core, and then 150 total spark and total shard crystals. That I actually like. That's a solid event. And so they break down the drop rates. So for spark, they got it in 5k, 7.5k, and 10k, 11% drop rate at that. And then you got then it goes down the line, same denominations for combiner spark, combat spark. So that's actually going to be really nice. And then you also have 25% drop rates of either 25 5-star shards, 100 4-star shards, 200 3-star shards, and 1.5k premium crystal shards. So all in all, pretty good looking event. It's endurance and it's mayhem. So always looking forward to that. Um, Now on my particular screen, it cuts off a little bit of this. Like man, that tier chart was long. I looked at it earlier in the actual newsletter. That tier chart is long for 105, but so you got your battle zones. That's your typical battle zones. Obviously, bump that up for mayhem, so should be a pretty good time. And I actually appreciate this. I added in here that playtest. So basically, with playtest, like I'm an iOS user, and iOS is down as part of the stuff that's down in regards to changing studios and everything. So the iOS playtesters haven't been able to really participate. But because I create content, I actually have an Android account that works on my computer, so I'm actually able to show some content today. It's been a little bit rough, man. Like last week when we got our new builds, uh, obviously I was out of town. I was in Colorado. I'll talk about that in a little bit, but yeah, I was out in Colorado, and so didn't get to do a build. So I came back, and I was going to start making content about the new bots this weekend when I got back home. And then I was like, oh, I didn't get the email for the build, so I wound up getting that straightened out. Shout out to Callum, who already saw us in the chat, got me set up with my code to reset my base and everything. So now we're good to go. But all right, so sneak peeks of the Cyberpass skins for next saga. So we got Shattered Glass Bombshell. That's pretty dope. And then we got Shattered Glass Windblade. So that's that's tough. Yeah, I like that. That Shattered Glass Windblade is tough. I don't know which one's the better one. I think the SG Windblade is the better one out of the two. They both look awesome though. All right, like I mentioned, saga schedule. We got week 8 here, so uh, let me know in the chat who's going for the 4-star, who's going for the 5-star this go around. All right, no artwork this go around for the community corner, but great news. And I was actually really excited about this when I heard about it this morning. But we got 2 new official content creators, and yeah, so we got CF, with his channel CF Tactics is joining us on the official content creator list, and Val, who's also been making some awesome content, is made it onto the official content creator list. So please, everybody, give them a congratulations. All right, so this week's staff picks, we got Nikos, one of the QA testers, and said hard to pick a favorite, but a couple that he enjoys are Mind Wipe and Predacon Inferno. I'd say, yeah, I would say those are. Well, first off, shout out to Nikos for repping the Decepticon side. But yeah, you know, Mind Wipe, especially modern day Mind Wipe, definitely get why he'd be a fan. And then Predacon Inferno, that hasn't needed an explanation. That's like probably the top bot in the game right now. All right, so for those of you who might have missed it, Space Ape, oh, excuse me, whatever they call themselves, Yodos, the team stream was earlier today. If you didn't see it, check it out. But yeah, that's the news for this week. So let's go over to the chat, see who we got in there. All right, I see Volcanic is 69 has joined us again. Thanks for joining, buddy. The homie Dread 81, one of my good friends and members, is in here. Thanks for joining, Dread. Lumega says he can't stay, but thankful for the replays. Yeah, by all means, check it out when you get more time, buddy. But thanks for dropping by. We got the homie Shock Bomb 28 in here with us again. Thank you for joining. We got Michael Ginotti. Excuse me if I butchered the last name, but thanks for joining. We got the homie Chris Harmon, one of my moderators, good friends, members, all of that. Thanks for joining, Chris. We got the homie Cicada, one of my good friends, fellow playtesters, member. Thanks for joining. Oof. All right, we got Blade 19, another one of the homies and members. Thank you for joining, Blade 19. As mentioned earlier, we got Callum in here. Thanks for joining, Callum. Our community manager for Transformers Earth Wars. And I saw the homie Magic in here earlier. He says I gotta talk nice because Callum's in here, and I was like, nah, I say mean things to Callum all the time. Not really, but hey, we definitely one of those guys you can have open dialogue with. So definitely appreciate you, Brody. All right, where did you go? Is with us again. Thanks for joining. All right, we got Twilight's here with us again, one of my members. Thanks for joining. Ooh, and I just lost. Oh, there we go. I just lost the chat for a second. We get our new content creator, official content creator, CF, in the chat with us again. Congratulations again, one of my members as well. So thanks for joining. We got Trax in here with us again, another one of my good friends and members. Thanks for joining. He says, Callum, they got you working into the wee hours, don't they? Yeah, it's late over there, but like he said he uses time wisely or whatever. And I say he really been embracing this thing. He been looking for different ways to help all those content creators out. The first big step. And you know what? There's always gonna be little things that I want, like as a content creator, and I probably couldn't get them. I couldn't think about it on the top of my brain today, but I was like, the first thing, first and foremost, is supporting other creators. So when CF got his spot and Val got his spot, that actually made my whole day, man, because I said they have been just killing it in the content game right now. So um, great first steps, Callum. Looking forward to seeing even more. So let's see. Supreme Rules is with us again. Thanks for joining. Like I mentioned, Magic is in the chat, and he said instead of having fun chatting online, you went to streaming. It's like, hey, I told you where I was going. Say Magic, who also makes content, wanted me to cancel and chill with him talking on the line app all day, man. So you know, if I would have canceled yet again, then you would have known why. But no, I appreciate you, brother. Thanks for joining. Let's see. Michael Cooper joined us again. Thanks for joining, Michael. And I always see something up there, and it's funny because Trax tagged me. I was talking about how I don't have any majors for my bots, and Trax says you really need to pick a major if you plan to graduate. Oh man, that's hilarious. But thanks for joining, Trax. Dread says that you want to talk to me about warbots. Yeah, I should be pretty wide open. Next week, every day except for Friday and Saturday. I said I'm up for a call, so let me know. The homie Skinny 33 is in there with us. Thanks for joining again, Skinny, my homie from the Horde family. And speaking of the Horde family, we got Eric Lottenslager in there with us again, another fellow member of the Horde. Thanks for joining. Let's see, we got quite a bit of people. We got quite a bit of conversation in there. And we got the homie Candyman, another one of my homies from the Horde family, and said, "Any Cyclonus news? Nah, it's not. Um, hopefully, hopefully we can get something soon though. So uh, definitely looking forward to that when that time comes. But thanks for joining, Candyman. All right, so I want to take a look. I'm gonna start off right out the gate taking a look at the new bots. So let's go ahead to the bigger screen. I really wish I wouldn't have picked this shirt because it's like got the little blue stuff up there, so it's kind of tripping me out. Let me see. I'm gonna crop that out real quick. Yeah, all right. And there goes old Deceptidog. Bro, it's Deceptidog's birthday on Monday, man. So I say everybody say happy birthday to Deceptidog. I'll probably make a post or something like I did last year. He turned 6. He turned 6 on Monday. All right, so we have a new bot here. We got Armada Wheeljack. So that was my history lesson when I first found out who the new bot was going to be. I did not, because I'd never really watched Armada, and I didn't realize he had switched sides in Armada. So it's actually pretty cool. But I like that design though. That design is hard. So yeah, he's the one that we're gonna be getting on the Decepticon side. Man, it's pretty dope too, man. Like the accuracy is like kind of just put that slash through the Autobot symbol, stuck a little small Decepticon symbol up there. So yeah, I like the accuracy on it. Um, and then on the Autobot side, we have Armada Scavenger. And that's it. He got more of a cartoon type look. Yeah, I definitely think Armada Wheeljack is the better looking of the two bots for sure. But yeah, we get Armada Scavenger there, representing the Autobots. And so let's go ahead and take a look. Take a look at the tooltip and everything real quick. And I'm just looking at the comments. I see everybody. I see everybody giving Deceptidog his birthday wishes. Dread says dogs age 7 times faster, so give him a birthday every 2 months. And then several happy birthday. Y'all be showing Deceptidog more love. Y'all be showing me, gang. Like that's how y'all feel. Let's see. Volcanicus69 says Armada Scavenger looks like a cheap Transformers knockoff. Candyman says all these random ass Armada bots coming in the game, and I still can't get Rat Bat. All right, so this is what we got. We got a tooltip here for Armada Wheeljack, and so just looking at the tooltip. Let's see. So we're looking at his ability gains 80% health and 80% damage absorption. Now, I took it up to ability 11, and usually I don't until I actually get on stream. So the 20% damage reflection is what's coming in as a part of that. Um, so all of that for 8 seconds before charging into combat. During this time, every 2% health loss temporarily increases special ability or damage by 299 up to 10 times. And after this time, they strike the ground, dealing 2,489 damage plus. Now, um, yeah, so you had a little bit of AoE there in a medium area. And of course, um, with this ability, attracts defenses. Now, I don't have the G1 yet, but as I understand it, and I'm gonna actually pull it up real quick because I know they were doing something with trying to do something with acid for that. So let me see if I can find it real quick. Cause I had it open earlier. And so it says the design of this has been updated to work more advantageously given the AoE damage the ability of inflicts. So by causing zero point 0.2 DPS acid damage per second over time, depending on the core rarity. So they're talking about breaking it down to 2, 3, 4, and 6 seconds. And so that's what we're looking at for that G1, which I don't have. So I just went to my go-to and put Onyx Prime on there, like I usually do when I put Bludgeon up there, which is like Iron Hat for you guys on the Autobot side. And one of the things that I noticed as I was scrolling through here, and like I said, I just got this bot, I think it was yesterday or the day before. One of the things I was looking for was to use that Forge of Soulless, and I see that that was not on this particular list. But as you scroll through, you can see the combats that you can use. So I said, hey, looking at this tooltip, one of the things I started thinking about is like doing decent amounts of damage and everything. Um, which honestly, for me, that's not necessarily my cup of tea. Uh, I like my tanks to be a tank, but I do feel like, and I think it still has some of those tank elements. The problem is that when you do you got kind of to the point where you have to do the 80% health. Otherwise people gonna be like, it's sorry. You kind of got to do the damage absorption. They added some reflection to it. Um, but when you start talking about the health loss and increasing ability damage, and you can stack it up to 10 times. So now you're starting to look at something that maybe be more of a damage dealer, and that's why I wanted to do some of the comparisons. So they got it at cost 3 plus 2. I know every time you start saying 3 plus 2, uh, people is like, oh my gosh, it's so expensive. But I mean, that's what I pay for bludgeon, so I guess anything that's not pipes and is not headstrong, everybody's gonna say it's too expensive. So, um, kind of is what it is from that standpoint. Hey, and I see Sunstrike joined the chat. Thanks for joining, Sunstrike. And I see one of my good friends, Fox the Bomb, one of my moderators as well and members, has joined the chat. Thanks for joining. All right, so I say let's go ahead and test this out real quick. So I put Armada Wheeljack into the spot that I normally use for Headstrong. So um, we'll use it on a prime zone base to start out, see how it looks. And I see Brian Pusher joined the chat as well. Thanks for joining. He says Armada Wheeljack might combo good with off-road's glass gas ability if it was a 5-star. That's a point that I actually thought about. So peep this. What I'm thinking about here is like in this case, for those who did the previous endurance event, you got bots in here like Quake. So it might be something where you use that for your glass gas um, or something similar. But and one of the complaints that I had up there about Quake that whole time is that I feel like with Quake, that range can be a little bit limited. So, but yeah, I went for that one. I'm for that event, and I'm going for this one too. So, um, the concept is still there if you actually got that bot, or yeah, if you went for that 5-star. Hold on a second. So yeah, just looking at how all of this plays out, and looking at you know the ability itself, I kind of see a lot of similarities to a lot of the other warriors, and I kind of alluded to that when I was talking about just the 80%, the rush and stuff like that. So in this case, I just want to take a look at what he actually does. That's his tooltip again. So I'm just going to take him up here to this shock tower. Now, granted, I'm just sitting in zone and in the prime zone, and you got a little bit of help from the Titan there. But the biggest thing when I look at a warrior, when I look at his survivability, so in this weaker base, he's kind of holding up. And I'm just kind of just watching him do his thing. The more damage he takes, um, I feel like the reflection. I I kind of feel like I'm just not huge on reflection, but he seems like he can do some solid damage with that ability. And then for something like this where you actually are letting them take up some damage, I actually kind of like Onyx, even though it's going to slow it down later on. Um, in his ability, it's going to allow him to take more damage, so he can dish out more damage on his end. And so it can get a little bit expensive to stack that ability, but I think that when you use it in conjunction with your team, I think it's going to do pretty good. I mean, you can see there once he get to the end of his ability, that AOE in this particular case isn't too bad. So yeah, concept wise, it's not bad. I said, now I know when we originally got the bot, and fortunately enough, I couldn't test it at that time. Um, but I wasn't really thrilled with some of the changes they made to him and stuff. Now it's starting to come along pretty good, and I'm not really mad at it. So let me flip over to the chat, see what everybody's talking about in there. All right. Dread says that's no better than most. People love dogs more than other people. That's real. Chris Harmon and I, we've been having this conversation, and he said it a couple of times. He's like, he was talking about making the comparison to drill horn, because I know they had him maneuver kind of slowly at first, and I felt like that was kind of like the only thing that was similar. They since took that out. Um, but it's not bad. Now I am gonna come back and try this spot again against a tougher base, and I'm gonna try him a couple of times with some different tactics, just to kind of wrap my head around, uh, kind of what my final assessment on it's gonna be. But yeah, so Sunstrike says I get the feeling that this ability was designed to punish FFDs. Yeah, I mean, and it's still the FFD is still gonna work, but in theory, because of the area of effect, you do got a kind of a shot at it. And the thing is because you'll lose some shielding, but you'll potentially could get that back in damage absorbed, so in damage redistributed. So that could be, yeah. And I can see that. Yeah, and kind of going along with you saying, he says because under normal conditions, I feel like that 2% HP loss boost is way too hard to activate. Yeah, and I was actually surprised. Like I was watching Waz's stream before this, and having known him over the years, I know typically speaking, when you dealing with something like where you have to take a certain amount of damage to get something, that's not usually his cup of tea. But he actually gave it his seal of approval with some other conditions, which I'll talk about because I got a lot of the similar feelings about the bot. But yeah. Volcanic at 69 pointed out we were talking about cost, and he was saying that Jazz and Mix Max Master 9+2. I'm assuming that Michael Cooper's talking to me. Said, did I finally get Headstrong? Yeah, I did. I completed Predaking about 2 or 3 weeks ago, something like that. Hey, and it's Andrew Stevenson joined us. Thanks for joining again, buddy. Yeah, and that's actually a good point. Michael Cooper says reflection is great, just pretty confusing on a bot who's meant to absorb damage. Hey, and I see Soul joined the chat. Thanks for joining, Soul. One of our other official content creators, mentor of mine. Thanks for joining, buddy. And yeah, so that's what we look like so far. So let's go ahead. Now, every time I go get a new bot, one of the things that I always look at is how I want to incorporate him into my war team. And so I got a makeshift version. Now, I don't have Quake on my war team. I just put him on playtest to try, just to try some stuff out, just to try to see, you know, how he could fit in. But typically, he's taking up the spot that I usually have for Octo Punch, which is C Spray for you guys on the Autobot side. And let me go ahead and make the screen large again. So this time I want to try to focus on a couple of different tactics. Now in this case, since I'm rushing them in a situation like this where I'm staring straight at Liege Maximo Core, I got Lancelot on him, so it's going to increase his DPS in this particular case, which is good because when I'm increasing his DPS, uh, it's going to help out with me using his ability and trying to clear some things out. And I also don't want him to get hacked. So that's what I was thinking with that particular pairing. It may or may not be the pairing that I actually use when it's time to use them in the live server, but we'll see. So I'm going to go in here. I'm going to give Quake, that's Gears for you guys on the Autobot side. And I'm just going to go ahead and use Quake on that MDS there that's got this core on there, that Megatronus core. And he's holding up pretty good, doing a little bit of damage there. And granted, I'm just kind of just running a test here, but this is where Quake kind of gets me into trouble a little bit because of his range. So for me, I'm just kind of looking at it looks like this bot does a lot of he does a little bit of everything. Um, and I'm really not big on making them these warriors huge damage dealers. But this ain't bad. This ain't bad at all. So I just want to kind of take them around, see how that works out. And I just had a crash, so I'll come back to that. But overall, it's not looking too bad. I do want to try it on a tougher base and see how I can use it. And because I'm a Rodimus Unicronus user, I'm which is Inferno for you guys on the Autobot side. I'm actually kind of looking forward to. Oh, it came right back to the same battle. I'm actually kind of looking forward to seeing how that works. So I'm actually going to try that next. Man, this thing is crashing its tail off. All right, I'm going to go back to the lab for a second and see if that'll work itself out. Actually, I'll take a look at the chat real quick. All right, so let's see. All right, so I did get that to come back up. Okay, so Volcanic has said he got the 5-star Predator King and is maxed out on his con account. All right, so Andrew Stevenson asked a question about thoughts on Raiden. I want to put him on defense if he's good to free up Sky Rain. So we can take a look at that. So, personally speaking, in most practical cases, I'm going to say the answer to making that switch is probably no. But we can. All right, so now I think we can go back to the regular screen. All right, so here's my reasons why. So Dino King's cool, stuff like that. We look at his abilities. For me personally, and I might actually use him on defense at some point. I think it's going to be really situational, and I think that honestly, the best ability for him, um, defensively, and I'm going to jump out of the camera real quick so you can read that whole tooltip. But me personally, what I like is I like that he can do that additional damage to bots, combat bots, and combiners. So I actually was playing around in playtest. It was when I was first testing out Armada Wheeljack, and like he actually got lit up by this ability by one of my playtesters when I was trying it out earlier the day before the stream. But my caveat to that is who actually goes in and just lets the combiner hit their bots like that. Usually people going to use holograms. For me personally, I like to use Nova Prime for my outpost popping, but I'm starting to get into some other tactics that I hadn't previously used. So I've been starting to get into the cup and dead end sack and stuff like that, just because I actually like a lot of people are putting the majority of their bots up there at the top of the screen. They're putting Deluge and Beachcomber at the top of the screen. So a lot of the guys, and a lot of the guys that I play in my alliance with, are starting to have like really, really good replays of the Dead End and Cup Sack. All of that said, I think that's the better ability, and we can actually take a peek at some of the other abilities and how they would interact on defense. Um, this one's this one's cool. This one's going to have to change. And the reason why it's going to have to change is because they're talking about 60% less water damage down there at the bottom, and there's not going to be water damage anymore. That's going to have to change. And it's going to have to change to something that's going to be more meta relevant. If they can make that into a meta relevant ability, um, you might have a winner there from that 4-star ability, but it's definitely going to have to take some rework. So, um, yeah, so now let's compare that to we were talking about. I think we were talking about Galvatronus. Is that who we were talking about? We were comparing to. Let's see. Yeah, so we were talking about Raiden and Skyrain. So Galvatronus would be the Decepticon counterpart. And this is like when you go look at top players, this is primarily what they're using, just because when you think about it in theory, you got this black hole ability, and part of that ability is Galvatronus is invulnerable, but once activated, allies receive 80% damage reduction. So on defense, that means all the buildings around them within that black hole range are going to receive that damage reduction. That's important because you already got a shield generator, you already got healing going on primarily from your Micronus, and some people are still using like the build bots and everything, your Alchemist Prime Core on defense, stuff like that. So essentially it's going to regenerate health during that reduced damage period. And there's certain situations you get in, even when you got really, really good damage dealers, if you're doing it while this ability is active, it makes it really tough. And so from that standpoint, I probably wouldn't make the change, but if you can find a way to make the abilities that they do have work, and I already saw one comment saying they prefer Raiden Dino King on offense. I hadn't really used it on offense that much because the whole point was for it to be a defensive combiner, and I do like that 3-star ability. Um, I think that that 4-star ability, because it's going to have to change ultimately, can wind up being something that could wind up being something that's pretty decent on defense. And we just got to wait that one out, or find a specific situation where you just wanted to shred, one bot real quickly. All right, so I said I wanted to try. I'm gonna try this again on just a regular battle, but I want to combine this with Rod U. And I just really love Rodimus Unicronus, man, because like just because he boosts all damage, normal damage, ability damage. So I want to see if that has any kind of impact here. Or I got a perfect base for this kind of situation too. That's dope. All right, so I'm gonna deploy him first because I'm gonna use him first in this case. Now, typically I use the warrior beforehand. Um, in this case, I'm gonna use, well, Rod use a warrior, but I'm gonna use him after the fact in this case. And one thing I'm looking at, I'm thinking about, like, you can take a lot of damage from like MDS in this case. And if you use like a minigun or something like that, then this is really just gonna give him like crazy amounts of damage. So I'm kind of wondering if this will pair well with Rod U. I know we were already talking about um, using like Gears and Quake. Well, I brought that up. I know we were talking about using side swipe and off road, but now I'm kind of like, huh. I think it's gonna combo really well with a lot of different bots. If I'm keeping in the band with you, I think it's gonna combo really well with a bunch of bots. But I'm gonna back out of here. I'm gonna try my war team on a tougher base and see how that looks. All right, so Blade 19 says Dino King on defense was basically a counter for God Neptune with all the water damage with that ability. And yeah, and that's what I'm saying. And now, granted, that's probably going to change. And I don't want to get into the whole rumor mill thing about that again. We already talked about that once, but um, as I understand it, water is going to be end up leaving the game. Period. And so if that's the case, that ability for Dino King and Raiden has to change. But I was like that from my thing, and I was against it when it was in playtest originally because I was like, well, you've already got a counter. You put the counter on the build bot. Like, how many counters do you want to make? And then I started thinking about, man, a lot of times when we start making counters for stuff, when it's really popular, I think we need to do it through war effects, honestly. And I think that that's the way to go about it because, you can always change it back. Another crash. All right, so I see a question and they said, will we get the last Dinobot scorn? Yeah, I don't know about stuff, the future stuff. But I know they said Scorn is from the Age of Extinction movie. Yeah, no, that's real. Yeah, I said anything when they start talking about future content and stuff, like I see it when we start testing it. Other than that, I don't know. So, oh yeah, yes, NFL draft here. I'm actually getting off of here in a little while because I want to go see uh, who my team drafts. I'm a Commanders fan, and so I'm really curious to see what they're gonna do because they've been doing so much in free agency. All right, so we're gonna look at that. So the first thing I'm gonna do here, I think it'll probably be best. I'll go use one of my Predacon Inferno shots here. Because I don't see, I might have missed it, but I didn't see any fire, anti-fire cores. I might have missed it. But I want to get rid of some of the FFD if I'm going to use this ability. And so that's what I'm starting off with. Now, here's the thing. This guy's got pretty solid range. So what I'm going to do here is attempt to run Rod U down here at the bottom to protect some of my bots. But I want to run this dude toward the top here. And I'm running them directly towards. Now this is a good example of what I was talking about. Now I got rid of the FFD that had the. I actually got rid of the FFD that had the Micronus core on it. But that on defense. Like now, normally what I would have used, I'd have used a decoy when I got up to that point, or I would have wound up popping my combiner. And so that's kind of what I'm talking about. And I'm just kind of just talking here because I said I would have used, especially against a good player like Certain Lee, I would have used a combiner. But that's what I was talking about earlier when we were talking about Raiden and Dino King. You see how it just kind of just shredded this dude completely apart once I rushed him into that cluster, which I'm pretty sure was the desired effect. So I actually want to look at. I want to compare him to some other warriors, but it costs 3+2. I'm already paying 3+2 because I use bludgeon, so that's not a big deal. Um, his damage now. His damage. I got Lancelon on him right now, so I'm gonna take Lancelon off. So I got him at level 70 at the private rank. They got him at 397.6 damage at that point and 51k health, a little over 51k health. So I'm gonna look at some of the other warriors. Well, I need to go switch it to warriors only first. All right, that's Ramjet. So you got him. I got Quelagon at corporal there. So you get around that level of health. Let's see, who do I got maxed out here that's a warrior? So I got bludgeon. So bludgeon's at 54. So I mean the health points are there. Now bludgeon's at 54, and I got him at captain. So I actually want to take a look at. Let me see if I can add ranks to this dude. Man, everybody talking about Colorado. Man, I was there last week. Just vacationing and stuff. Well, I wouldn't even call it a vacation. We were really just chilling, seeing some friends and stuff. But man, like nobody wanted to smoke with me when I was up there, and I was like, man, we in Colorado, we gotta smoke, right? Nah, man, ain't nobody want to smoke. All right, so yeah, captain rank that put him up to about 57, 850. Shit, fuck it, go big or go home, man. Now I actually got play test, and I can carry him up to major, shit like that. So I take him up to 60k at major, and go big or go home again. So um, at the rank of general. So on top of that, you're gonna add some reflection in that case. So you're gonna add the 5% of reflection. You're gonna add the health and damage boost. So now he's gonna be health and damage boosted up to 25k. I don't know, man. You can starting to make a good argument for him because he's already gonna have his reflection. So we're gonna pay certainly a visit again and see how it goes. I'll bring back up this time. And I'm actually curious to see how he performs at that rank. Now I've been using him at private this whole time. So I kinda think this might work out. This might be pretty cool. And this time I think I'll go Leo or Predacon Inferno this way. This time I'll go to this shock tower. Try to use his ability. Oh yeah, now it's tearing stuff up right out the gate. So I can see this is something to kind of work the shield cluster and everything with. And then one thing I was thinking about was like with Flatline and Minerva, I might even be able to go add a little bit of add a little bit of power there. But he does pretty solid. He does pretty solid at getting some defenses down. Now this is a little bit tougher. And last time I had used Predacon Inferno, so yeah, I think he would combo with the bot to get down some of the shield cluster, which I'm not averse to. A lot of people do that already with some of the bots that they got. But yeah, um, as it is currently, I think it's pretty decent, man. Like I'd use it. I will say that there's a lot of investment you got to make when you go get some of these new bots, and so right now Bludgeon's getting it done, but yeah, now that's something I use, especially if I can rank them out, and I think it's one of the good things that I like is that in this event they're going to give you some of those major ranks and everything. But I was just kind of looking at, some of the damage that you can do with I was thinking more like when I started making comparisons, I was comparing it to Barricade because they made after they reworked Barricade, he became more of a damage dealer. But for him, it was like a little bit more complex because it's like, hey, then the you can start to use the life steal and increase attack speed. So it just kind of just gave him, increasing movement speed. So for Barricade, that made him more of a damage dealer. But then you're not really getting as much of that AoE effect like you're getting with this spot. And so yeah, I think we're on to something here. Um it does have they added a lot of stuff to it. It's not entirely like original per se, but nah, I think it's going to be something that people are eventually going to start to use. So I'm kind of happy with how that came out. All right, so today during the stream and I actually just realized I got to get this fixed because I actually don't have the 5-star here. Uh, Now I do have them at level 25, which you wouldn't be able to use until you get the 5-star. Which brought his power up from about 9k to 11k, and some health and damage changes. But I still don't have this, so I had to get the team to fix that because I was gonna show that off. So once I get that fixed, I'll come back to it. But I still want to kind of talk about what we got going on. So supposedly, and it's not hard set yet, but Giannis was looking at trying to bring out these Titans in a couple of weeks now, a couple of weeks from now, excuse me. And I know it's just been a lot of talk about how we want to pursue that in playtest. Now, personally, uh, they want to play harder into the rock, paper, scissors theory. It was like, hey, this Titan will do well against that Titan, but will be weak against the other Titan. And I think that'll be cool. I think that a lot of the stuff that comes into play is from these like defensive abilities, where it actually does work. I just think people just don't always use those particular defensive abilities because I like using bulletproof, so their range attacks affect me less. But a lot of times I'll also use fire resistance, depending on who I'm fighting against. I've also used slowdown before, and that slowdown, actually, I'm gonna set that up real quick. That slowdown uh, affect all your enemies and made them 30% slower. So I still use Trypticon right now, Metro for you guys on the Autobot side. Um, I really like his defensive abilities, and so I think that a lot of times when we try to start talking about rock paper scissors, um, I think it comes down to the abilities a lot, the defensive abilities more than anything. So that's what I'm looking at. So once I get that figured out, I'll make that into like a separate video and everything. But I do, I'm looking forward to it. We don't really have event cost yet. I know the event they were planning last time, nobody was really going for. So we'll see how it goes. All right, let's see. Take one last look through the chat. Oh, so we just got some folks talking about the draft. Yeah, so Adamson says war effects allow us to rotate through rosters instead of having studs and duds forever. So yeah, no, that's definitely, and that's kind of the point. And I know a lot of guys at the top, uh, their concern is a lot of times they're like, well, I don't have to use anything. I'll just go into my my squad and I'll just go use this bot instead when the war effects change. But you know what? Like Top War isn't like it used to be, man. There's a lot of guys in Top War. It used to be when it was all really knowledgeable guys that could just figure anything out. And it's a lot of guys now that's like, hey, I paid the money, I got the bots or whatever to tell me what to do. And so there's gonna be guys that just when the war effects change, that just flat out are not gonna figure it out. And I think that with the war effects, it kind of exposes that some. The guys are going to try to use the same 8 bots that they leveled up, especially now at ranks. You carry the bot to major or general, it's going to be tough to get them to part with it. Mm-mm-mm. Man, Soul asked me where my personalized emotes. I ain't set anything up. I probably should. Magic says one day he'll teach me to play without a combiner. So for the most part, I do. I just don't take any additional chances in Top War, but for the most part, I do. Man, honestly, combiners, and I've been saving up like a bunch of Shanix because I hadn't been using it that much. Um, I use my combiner more in events and in Top War, but like for the most part, I don't even use it. Okay, yeah, and yeah, I see some requests about setting up war teams now. With war team stuff, um, honestly, now there's one or two ways that I usually go about doing that. Like a lot of times, and I hadn't done this in a while. Like a lot of times, what I'll do is I'll have people send in their war teams, and then I'll discuss it on the stream about whether it's good or bad or what bots they get and how I'll make those teams. Um, but I got a lot of Art of War series ones, and I can't remember which number it was, but in my Art of War series, I was actually going over how to build a team because I feel like it's more concepts for building a team and just say, hey, just have this bot, or have this power core or anything like that. But if you get on my Discord and you ever want to go through like war teams and stuff like that, hit me up on Discord, hit me up on Line App. They both should be listed in the description in the video. And I can always, I see some people gave some advice, but it's easier to work through it that way, and it's easier to work through war teams one on one, honestly. But all right, guys, it is time for the NFL draft to start. So I'm gonna get out of here. Um, yeah, I'll see you guys here next week, and I will see you on the battlefield. Freezy is out.